In this video, we will be creating this variant of the battle rifle. We are going to be editing its mesh in Blender. The reason why we're not creating a new weapon entirely from scratch is because I still have yet to figure out the full animation process, uh, as in importing animations into Blender and then editing them or making new animations and then exporting them back out to the editing kit. So what we're going to be doing is that we're just going to take an existing weapon, a weapon that already has animations attached to it, a full rig, and we're just going to be editing the mesh. Now, another thing I do want to point out is that you may notice that there are some shading errors with this model. You can see it particularly right here on the bolt. You can see that it is not smooth shaded, it's flat shaded. We're going to be fixing that as well. And also as a bonus, we are going to change the color of these numbers on the ammo counter from blue to red. Or really, you can change it to any color you want to. I'm going to do red. Alright, so let's get into it. First thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a folder on my desktop that's going to have basically all of the files that we're going to be working with. So we're going to be storing our textures and our blend files there. So I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to name it battle_rifle tac, short for tactical, and then edit, I guess. You can really name this whatever you want to. This folder is not going to be consequential at all in the end, so it's only here just so we have a place to centralize all of our blend files and basically, you know, just everything. Okay, next, of course, we want to get the JMS. So I'm going to go to my Halo 3 editing kit directory, and we want to open up Tool again. The last video I did, I showed you how to import models, rigged models from the editing kit over into Blender. So if you haven't watched that, go watch that video. I'm going to be blowing through it now because I already did it before. So Tool, of course, it's going to be extract, import info, and then the path. So I'm going to go to my tags, and we want to get two. So on this model that I made, I took the holographic sight from the suppressed SMG and just put it on top of the battle rifle. So we actually need to get two models. We need to get the battle rifle and we need to get the suppressed SMG. So let's do that. Let's get the battle rifle first. That's going to be in objects, weapons, rifle, and battle rifle. Okay. I'm going to make my command prompt longer just so it's easier to read these very long paths. That's going to be tags / objects / weapons / rifle / battle rifle. If I can spell it correctly. Oh, and we need to specify the type, or the file, of course. I almost forgot that step. I'm gonna do the render model. Now, actually, we're gonna do the render model and we're going to do the collision model. However, we won't be doing the physics model. We're just going to take the physics model of the battle rifle and just use that. The reason being is that the physics model import for Blender seems to be broken for Halo 3. In fact, I think that's even documented on the GitHub page for the importer. So I tried importing the physics models for both the battle rifle and the SMG earlier. They didn't seem to come out correctly, so we're just going to be using the physics model for the battle rifle. We will, however, be editing the collision model just to fit with our battle rifle as well. So let's get both the render model and the collision model. So I'm going to go ahead and just get the collision model first since it's at the top. Battle rifle dot collision model. All right, it's done. It put it in the data directory of the editing kit as expected. Hit up arrow on the keyboard to give us that same command. Change collision model to render model. Okay. Again, put it in the data directory. Now let's get the SMG. So let's go back to rifle. The SMG and SMG silenced are both in the rifle directory, so let's just get silenced, because that's the one that has the sight, of course. And we're only going to get the render model. Battle rifle, or sorry, SMG silenced, and then SMG silenced dot render model. All right, it put it in the data directory as well. The reason why we're not getting the collision model is because the sight, the holographic sight on top actually does not exist on the collision model. Only the suppressor is there on the silenced SMG. So we don't need to worry about collision model. Okay. And actually, you know what? I'm going to show you that, just so you know exactly what I mean. So I will get the collision model. And I'll show that to you first thing. Alright. So we got all of the JMS files that we need. So we can close out of command right now. Okay, so on our edit folder, we're going to put the JMS files that we just exported. So let's go to the data directory, and that was under objects. I'm just going to cut and paste that on my desktop, and we can just close out of this. All right, let's open up this folder, the battle rifle tactical edit folder that we made, and then the objects folder that we just cut from the data directory of the editing kit. Let's open that up, and let's just take all of these models and just put them directly. No folders. We don't need to mess with the folders. Okay, I do want to point out something here. And this kind of confused me a little bit when I did this the first time. You'll notice that if you export the SMG silenced, you get the render folder and the collision folder, as you expect. We did not export the first-person render model for the SMG, of course. And we didn't export the first-person model for the battle rifle, but it gave us the first-person model for the battle rifle anyways. And I think the reason why is ever since they added those custom weapon skins to the Master Chief Collection, they basically just scrapped using the non-view models and just are using the view models for all representations of that weapon. That's what I can gather, so we're just going to be using the first-person render model for the battle rifle. And I assume that's the case for all of the weapons that have received weapon skins. So let's just take all of these. Let's put them directly into the redit file, or redit folder. Again, don't worry about the folders. They're just going to slow us down. We already know what they are. Okay, so we have that. We can delete this objects folder now, since we got everything out of it. Okay. Before I go any further, I'm going to show you what I mean with why we're not going to really be worrying about the collision model for the SMG. So I'm just going to quickly open that in Blender. So I will import JMS. It's on our desktop. SMG silenced collision. So as you can see, the SMG silenced does in fact have the suppressor as part of the collision, but it doesn't have the sight. So I just, and we're not going to be adding the suppressor to our battle rifle. You can if you want to, but that means you're going to have to do a bit more editing to your collision. But since the sight is not represented in the collision model, then I'm not going to worry about that part of the collision model. Okay, so I'll just delete SMG silenced collision. Okay, now let's get the textures for our JMS files. And of course, we're going to do that in Reclaimer. Open that up. And open up a map. Let's see, let's go to our install of Halo the Master Chief Collection on Steam. So Steam Apps, Common, Halo the Master Chief Collection, Halo 3, Maps, and let's pick a multiplayer map, since pretty much every multiplayer map has the battle rifle and the suppressed SMG. So doesn't matter which one you pick, I'll just pick Cyberdyne. That's the pit in the game. Cyberdyne is basically the name of the pit in the game files. Okay. You want to find the render model folder, and we need to find both objects, weapons, rifle. Okay, we have battle rifle. Since we have the first person battle rifle, JMS, we're going to pick this one. We're not going to pick the standard battle rifle, even though really there's no difference between the FP battle rifle and battle rifle in terms of textures. They use the exact same textures, but just to be safe, I'm going to get this one. Alright, let's export those bitmaps. Let's export them out to desktop to make them easy to find. Alright, it's done. Now let's find the suppressed SMG. So that's going to be SMG silenced. I'm not going to get the first person one, just the standard. And let's export all bitmaps for that. We're going to put it in desktop again. Select folder. Alright. We're done with Reclaimer for now. So I'm not going to close out of it, I'm just going to minimize it. And you'll understand why in a little bit. Why we still need Reclaimer. So here are the two folders that Reclaimer gave us, objects and shaders. You can get rid of shaders. That's pretty much useless for us. And objects, again, we're just going to put the textures that we need directly into our battle rifle tac edit folder. So the textures we need are going to be in the weapons folder, rifle. Let's get the battle rifle textures first. And the ones I'm going to get, I'm not going to get the PBR or the Covenant ones. I'm just going to get the standard battle rifle. So that's going to be battle-rifle.tiff, battle-rifle-bump.tiff, and then battle-rifle-illum.tiff. I'm also going to get the numbers plate 0. Drag those over. Okay, we got our battle rifle textures that we need. And let's do... Actually, I'm going to get all of the number plate. Since we're going to be we're going to be making these red later, I'm just going to get all of those. All of the number plates. Okay, now we need to get the textures for the sight on the SMG. So we don't need to worry about the SMG folder, just the silenced. And it's going to be these SMG add-ons. So I'm going to get all of these, drag them over. Okay, we got all of the textures we need. So we can delete this objects folder. Okay, next let's create our blend file. So let's open up Blender. Now let's select everything and delete them. Let's get rid of the timeline. And let's go ahead and save this. So save as desktop. We're going to want to save it in our Battle Rifle Tactical Edit folder. Let's name it the same thing. So Battle Rifle Tac Edit. Save. Okay, so now every time we do file save, it'll just save as that file, so we don't have to, worry about crashing or stuff. We can just save constantly, even though Blender does not crash on me, but maybe like twice a year. So I say that now and it's going to crash on me. But anyway, let's import our JMS files. So import Halo jointed model skeleton.jms. Okay. We'll worry about the collision after we finish up with the SMG silenced and FP battle rifle. So let's import the battle rifle first. Select it, go to game version Halo 3, and import it. There we go, we got our battle rifle. And let's import our SMG. So again, import JMS, SMG silenced, import that. And SMG silenced is going to be armature.001 since it's the second one that we imported. Just select it and let's drag it out on the y-axis so it's out of the way. And let's save. So now we have our imported models. Let's just take a look and kind of inspect them a little bit, see what they have. Let's look at the battle rifle. We definitely want to look at the materials, see what they have. So here we have our battle rifle. And one thing I should have pointed out in my previous video that I didn't is that these colors don't really mean anything when it's imported. It just assigns random colors to these materials. The colors don't matter. So we have two battle rifle metals. We have this orange one, and we have this bright yellow. Then we have battle rifle rubber, which is this purple. Battle rifle lens, which is this kind of desaturated light orange, which is only on this scope. And then ones and tens, which is the number plates. So here's ones, here's tens. And SMG has 3 materials. Cool. One thing is that you'll notice if you've never done this before, you'll probably be thinking, what's up with this equal sign and question mark and these parentheses and all this stuff. I recommend going to this website here. It is c20.reclaimers.net, and here you're going to want to search for material naming conventions, and go to Halo 3, go to material symbols, and you're going to want to scroll down to Halo 3. These will tell you what these symbols mean. I'm not going to go over them in this video, but I recommend going to this website and just familiarizing yourself. You don't need to, remember what these are. Just know that's what those symbols are about. That's why the symbols are there on the material names. Okay, next thing is that we want to fix these models because they're kind of broken. And I explained this in my last video. I'll open up this image that I showed you earlier. The reason why I had these shading errors before is because I didn't apply this fix. And it's a very simple fix. All you gotta do is go into edit mode when you have these selected. And as I said in my last video, there's an issue with the importer where it imports every single triangle, every single polygon on the mesh unconnected from every other polygon. The nice thing is, well, I guess it really doesn't matter, but somehow the shading is still there. I mean, the reason why is because you got, the normals are still defined, but all we need to do to fix this is select everything, and then go to mesh, merge by distance. Okay. And as you can see, I can now select, when I want to select a specific part of the mesh, it actually does what it's supposed to, instead of only selecting one polygon at a time. Now let's go to the SMG. Let's do the same thing, select all, mesh, merge by distance, and there we go. Now this has another side effect, where it did fix the smoothing issue with the bolt. It did fix this issue. However, there is a consequence to it where it's going to also smoothen out these hard edges. So we're going to fix that as well. And this is the reason why we kept Reclaimer open. When we import these JMS files, they don't import with sharp edge data, but when we export them out from Reclaimer, they do. Of course, Reclaimer does not export JMS files, it only exports OBJs, so that's why we don't get our models from Reclaimer in the first place. So let's save our Blender file, minimize it. Let's go back to Reclaimer. Now let's export all geometry from both the battle rifle and the SMG. Most likely it'll be OBJ files with materials right here. You don't need to worry about materials, just change it to OBJ files. And let's save this in our working directory. Let's do the same thing with the SMG. Export all geometry. Battle rifle tac edit. Looks good. Okay. Let's make sure, let's look at our edit folder, just make sure they're there. And they are. Awesome. Now we can close out of Reclaimer. We're all finished with Reclaimer. Okay. Now that we're back in Blender, let's minimize it again, and let's open up a second Blender window. This is where we're going to be importing the models we took from Reclaimer. So delete everything, get rid of the timeline. Import OBJ this time. Go to the desktop, find our SMG silenced, or let's do the battle rifle first. Import it. Now, you'll notice it's a lot smaller, and that's because Reclaimer does not export or import in the same world units that is actually in the editing kit. So if you go to your scene properties panel and you go to Halo scene properties, let's do like JMS, you'll see this scale option, and there's 3 different options. We've been keeping it at default JMS. We don't want to change this. I realize we're on Halo CE, but it's going to be the same for Halo 3. We don't want to change this because it imported at the correct scale, the JMSs did, and it's also going to export at the correct scale. So just a little explanation there in terms of scaling. So let's take a look at our Reclaimer FP battle rifle. And let's go to edit mode. And as you can see, Reclaimer does export the models with sharp edges intact. Some of these I don't quite understand, though, like right here. I don't really know why this edge right here has to be a sharp edge. So I'm not going to be making my sharp edge on this that way. I'm only going to be making edges that I think are necessary sharp, just FYI. But the reason we're opening this is just so we can inspect this. If you have a second monitor, which I do, this is where it's going to come in really handy. So I'll move it over. And what I want to do is that I basically want to go over and make sure I have every single edge here marked as sharp. So basically I want to copy this edge for edge, make sure all of the edges that are marked here as sharp are also marked here as sharp. And the way you do that is you select, if you want to make an edge sharp, you select the edges, you go to edge, mark sharp, and there you go. So I'm going to go through my model and mark all of the edges that need to be sharp as sharp. Before I do that though, I'm going to hide all of this stuff so it's not in my way. All of these markers. Oops, do not want to hide that. And I'm going to also hide the armature as well, just so I see the model. One more thing I should point out is that you may need to see some edges that are inside of another part of the mesh. You can turn X-ray mode on to see these edges, but as the Savvy Barbarian put it once, this just makes it really maddeningly confusing. So just a tip there. You'll notice probably I don't expect, yeah, these aren't marked as sharp. I'm going to, just to show you what I mean, hide that. You may expect stuff like these edges to be marked as sharp and this, The reason why they aren't is because there actually isn't a face there. So if there isn't a connected face, then those edges are pretty much just marked as sharp by default if they're not if they're not connected to another face. Sometimes you might find some edges that for whatever reason don't exist on the reclaimer model. If you think an edge should be sharp, just mark it as sharp. This doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to make it so that anything that, again, looks like it needs to be marked as sharp, anything that shouldn't have smoothing should just be marked as sharp. That is a really strange triangle right there. I wonder what that's about. Yeah, one thing I've kind of noticed with exporting Halo models is that these are not modeled perfectly at all. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. For example, the barrel is slightly off center from the rest of the model, like the receiver. And I think that even the model itself might be slightly off center. Yeah, it's just kind of funny. That's the case especially with these older Halo 3 models. I think the newer models that have been added far more recently are made with a bit more less jankiness to them. Also, remember to save often. One other thing is that you do not need to worry about the scope, because we're not going to be we're going to be replacing the scope. In fact, we can go ahead and just delete it right now. So I'm going to select all of the parts of the scope with the L key. That looks right. And delete vertices. Okay. The scope's gone. Which means another thing we can do is that we can actually get rid of the battle rifle lens. We do not need the battle rifle lens material. So let's just remove that using the remove material slot button. And we can't do it in edit mode, so make sure you go to object mode, and now you can remove that material slot. Make sure that you have everything deselected also before you start selecting the scope. Also, before I delete the scope, I should point one more thing out about it. So here we have our vertex groups. As I mentioned in the last video, the vertex groups are what store the weights for the bones, for the armature. And so if we're going to be replacing the scope with the holographic sight, we should figure out what vertex group the scope belongs to. It belongs to the frame gun, so but if you don't know, you can just go through, like, you can go to this vertex group, select it, and if it doesn't turn orange, then it's not part of that vertex group, so just deselect everything. It's a part of frame gun, so select that, and as you can see, the scope is indeed a part of it. So we just need to keep that in mind, because when we copy the holographic sight over to the battle rifle, we will want to assign the sight to the frame gun vertex group. So I'm going to make sure everything is deselected. Select none. And just start selecting all of this stuff again with the L key. And now delete vertices. And again, we can remove the battle rifle lens, but we need to be in object mode. So now we only have battle rifle metal again, rubber, 1s and 10s. Okay, let's keep marking our sharps. If you made a mistake and you accidentally did an edge that's not meant to be marked as a sharp, just select it again, clear sharp. This would be about 1,000 times easier if this model was not triangulated, but it is. And I'm kind of hesitant on doing this. Let's see, where is it? Face? Yeah. Tries to quads. I am hesitant on doing that just because this is not a mesh that I made. So that might break something somewhere. If you get to a part like the magazine where the magazine is hidden within the model, and you need to get to its edges, you can just select the part that's obstructing it and hit H to hide, and that'll give you the fully unblocked mesh. And if you want to get the whatever you hid back, you just go to mesh, reveal hidden, and that'll get you back what you've hidden. So right here on the OBJ model from Reclaimer, this edge is marked as sharp, but I don't think that's supposed to be the case. I think that's an error because this is a very fine bevel, and in 3D modeling, if you want to make an edge look realistic, edges in real life don't aren't like cut off sharp exactly like this. They do have some volume to them, so that is, I think that's what this is about. Because this is, of course, the first person model, so this is going to be very close to the camera where more details are able to be seen. So that's why they put this like very small pairing of these edges together, is to create that fine bevel. So even though that's marked on the Reclaimer model, I'm not going to be marking that. Also because I'm lazy. Some of this is very strange. It makes me wonder if some of these are marked as sharp on purpose. Because that just doesn't make sense. So I'm actually gonna just not mark that. Okay, I believe that I have marked all of the sharps that need to be marked. So this will effectively fix that shading error, especially on the bolt. And how it does that is that the Halo 3 engine, the Halo 3 shaders, actually smooth shade everything. It doesn't matter if you set any of these faces to flat. Halo 3 shaders are going to smooth them over anyway. So marking edges as sharp will just ensure that edges that need to be flat, faces that need to be flat, will be flat. Because even though they're shaded smooth, there's no way for the normals to interpolate over past the sharp edge. So save that. Alright, again, battle rifle's done. So next, we need to do the SMG, and you're probably thinking, ugh, that took forever, and now you're telling me we gotta do the SMG. No, we just gotta do the sight. The sight's nothing. So, what we can do is actually delete the armature on the SMG. And that kind of scared me a little bit. Not really, because you can just undo it, but so let's hide the battle rifle. When we delete the armature on the SMG will go back to the world origin. That's fine. We can just move it out again, but also we should delete these markers because we don't need them. All the markers we need are on the battle rifle. And there's that marker. Okay. So now let's just delete everything on the SMG but the sight. In fact, probably the easiest way to do that is to select everything. Actually, no. Easiest way to do that is to just select elements on the sight. And then go to Select, Invert, and now we can delete those vertices. So now we're just left with the sight. One thing I want to point out, this was kind of a surprise to me. The reticle on the holographic sight is actually a mesh. I was expecting this to be a two-dimensional texture, but it's actually a mesh, which I thought was very interesting. And if you really, really wanted to, you could make the reticle, you could model this an entirely different shape if you wanted to. Just a little thing there, but I'm not going to for the sake of time. But you can adjust this shape however you want to. So now that we just got this sight, we can delete the SMG metal and the SMG rubber. So now we're just left with SMG add-on. And we can get rid of these vertex groups too, except for frame gun. We want to keep frame gun. So now all we have left is vertex groups frame gun, and in our materials SMG underscore add-on. Okay. Now, let's move this roughly into place. Just in object mode. And when we have it where we want to, probably right there is good. Also, again, you'll notice that the battle rifle, of course, is not centered, but the newer SMG model that was just recently added is perfectly centered. Just wanted to point that out. Is the player going to realize that it is, what, 2 millimeters off? No, they're not going to realize that. Actually, it's probably less than 2 millimeters. But, yeah. Okay, so we pretty much have the site where we want it, and I'm dragging it down just so the bottom edges are clipping into the battle rifle itself. So now what we can do is make sure you have your sight selected, and now shift select your battle rifle so it is bright orange and your sight is dark orange, and go to object, join. There you go. Your sight is now a part of your battle rifle. And it added the material, and it didn't add the frame gun. Since the battle rifle already had a frame gun vertex group, the sight should in theory just be added to the frame gun. Yep. So it's all good. It's all good. And I'm just going to reveal hidden. Now we need to mark the sharps on our sight real quick. But I'm going to save first. And now in our other Blender window, we can delete this battle rifle, import our OBJ file of the SMG silenced, go into, not sculpt mode, go into edit mode, and there we have the edges we need, but of course, all we need is the sight. So we can select just the sight, and then invert. There we go. Okay, so let's quickly just mark the edges on our sight on the battle rifle, and then we'll move on. Make sure to save. Again, I'm marking edges that really only make sense to be marked. So this edge right here is marked on the OBJ. I'm not going to mark it. And this one is not marked, but I'm marking it. It's really up to you what you want to mark. Actually, I'm not going to mark edges that aren't marked. Just cuz it's like, why mark them? No one's going to notice. I'm also not going to mark any edges on the reticle itself. The reason why is because this uses an emission shader, essentially. And when something is emissive, the shading, you can't see the shading. The shading is basically, if it's emissive, then you can't see any smooth shading or any flat shading. So I'm not even going to bother marking the sharps on the reticle. Okay, I'm pretty sure that marking the edges, that process is all finished. So I'm going to go into object mode, save, and let's just test out our armature. So pose mode, magazine, the bolt is, well, that's weird. Oh, you know what? Okay, that's an issue. Now, that's okay, it's a simple fix, but when we merged the vertices together, that did something that I said might happen in my previous video, and that is exactly why you test things after you do them. So let's go to object mode, and yeah, that bolt, this slide is connected and it should not be connected. Simple fix. I'm just going to select all of the faces here. In fact, I'm just going to do circle select. I'm going to hide that bolt. And then I'm going to select. Okay, now I'm going to turn on snap, just so I'll show you why I'm doing that. I'm going to duplicate this, so Shift D, and I'm going to move it up on the Z-axis by 1. Now, can select all of this again, and then delete. We want to delete faces, not vertices, because that will get rid of the inside edge of that bolt or of the slide. We want to keep that, and now we can select this and move it down again, Z, by 1. And let's make sure that that is a part of frame OpHandle. Select. We'll probably want to test it on the mesh or on the armature. Okay. Let's go back into edit mode on that battle rifle. Let's select that whole piece, and let's assign it to OpHandle. Let's see if any of it is selected on frame gun. It is not. Okay. Now, okay. Let's make sure. I think what's happening is that parts of the inside here, of like this very small edge, are assigned to OpHandle. So let's select let's deselect everything and select this. Select OpHandle. We want to remove and let's go to frame gun and let's assign all of that. Let's try it one more time. That's still acting really weird. Need to think about this for a second. Okay, I realized why. So part of some of these vertices that are on the slide are assigned to frame gun and they're not supposed to be. So that's an easy fix. Select that. We want to remove all of these from frame gun. Okay, and if that doesn't fix it, then I don't know what the issue is. And would you look at that? It did fix it. There we go. This is definitely why you test things. Frame gun's working. We know the magazine works. Let's see the safety. Looks like the safety's working all right. Okay. Save. Now let's go ahead and let's apply our textures to see how this all looks. So we're going to do that in we're going to do all of that in the shader editor. We need to open up our materials. Now, again, what you do here in this node tree is going to have no effect on when it's imported into Halo 3. The only reason we're doing this is to see if the UVs are correct, and if for any reason you do want to edit the UVs, then this will give you an idea of how these textures are being applied to the model. So use nodes, and we want to get our textures from our edit folder. And just drag this in battle rifle. Let's go into material preview. Put that into base color. All right. Let's get battle rifle illum. Plug that into emission. And lastly, let's get battle rifle bump. We need to make this non-color. If you keep it on sRGB, it's not going to look right. And let's get a normal map node. Plug color into color and normal into normal. And look at that. It's looking good. Okay, let's copy these nodes over to these three. So we'll just select all those, Control-C to copy. Use nodes. You can get rid of that node. Plug that in. And now let's do ones. So ones and tens will be the same. We want to keep, you don't want to delete tens or ones. You want to keep both of them, but they're going to, again, have the same, basically the same node tree setup. And I'm just going to use the 0 nameplate or numbers plate. Plug that into emission. Give it a little bit. And you may want to plug it into base color as well. And now that's looking right. Okay, copy that. One node. Hit use nodes on tens. Plug this into the same spot. And now we have the site. So SMG add-on. Gonna use nodes. And let's bring in those textures. So that's going to be SMG diffuse add-on. That's going to go into base color. SMG Illum add-on is going to go into emission. And SMG bump add-on, again, set it to non-color. Go to normal map. And there we go. That's looking pretty good. And we can get rid of the shader editor window now. When I said earlier that you don't need to worry about edge stuff on this, that's not looking how I thought it would, but you know, that's okay. I'm not going to worry about it. We pretty much have our finished finished model here. Just save. And we can export this now. Let's make sure that we have all of our nodes here. One weird thing I want to point out is that there's 3 muzzle flash nodes. I'm not sure why that is. I guess that has something to do with the battle rifle being a 3-round burst. I still find that weird, though. And when you compile this JMS into a render model, Tool is going to complain about these. However, it's going to be fine. So I'm going to keep them as they are. So save, select everything. I don't think you need to select everything, but I'm doing it just to be safe. We're going to export JMS. Now let's export this as battle rifle tac render. And we want to set game version to Halo 3 MCC. I'm going to untick export collision geometry and physics geometry. I'm going to keep export hidden geometry and render geometry. I don't know what hidden geometry does. Actually, I assume that that's any geometry, of course, that you've hidden while you've been working on it. I'm going to export that. I revealed everything after I hid them, but in case I missed something, that I guess that'll export. Just to be safe, let's add to our mesh, let's add an edge split modifier. And untick edge angle, just keep sharp edges. Let's select everything again and save. Export JMS, battle rifle tac render. Okay. Halo 3, uncheck collision geometry and physics geometry. We want to apply modifiers, triangulate even though it's already triangulated. All this stuff, I think what it does, this use edge split, and then edge split here, I think what it does is that as it's exporting, it applies an edge split modifier, and then it uses this settings and then applies that modifier. But just to be safe, I already applied that. I already have I have it manually set. In terms of scale, like using export settings and all this stuff, just keep it as it is. Now we can export JMS. Export completed successfully. Okay. Let's just save it, and oh, you can see it actually it actually did add a triangulate, so it would have added an edge split then. That's cool. Did not know that. Okay, now let's do a new file. We're going to do the collision model now. We're going to modify the collision model. So let's delete everything in the scene. Get rid of the timeline. And let's import that battle rifle collision. Halo 3. Okay. So the only thing we're going to do here is we are going to go into edit mode and delete this scope up here. You can actually, it's going to again remember that the exporter or the importer loads all of the triangles in separately, sort of disconnected to each other. So you will need to go into X-ray mode, and then you can box select everything, the scope, and hit delete vertices, and then go back into edit mode. And that's pretty much all we need to do. That's all we need to do here. Just one thing that you could keep note of is, you know, be kind of mindful of the material here, the metal. Interestingly, as I said in my previous video, the collision model shares the same armature, as you can see here, as the render model. However, it only has one vertex group here, frame gun, and that's because there's no magazine to move and there's no safety, you know, to pull out and stuff. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, you'll notice here that the mesh has an @ symbol. And that's, again, to tell the game engine whatever that @ symbol, that is some collision property. So you'll want to keep all of this stuff named as is. The only thing we needed to do was just remove that scope. So we can do export, JMS, desktop, our folder, change this to Halo 3. We'll do, instead of we'll uncheck everything except collision geometry this time. We don't need to do edge split or anything. And that looks all good. We'll save this as battle rifle tac collision. Export. And since that was such a simple change, I'm not even going to bother saving this blend file. So we can just close out of here. Okay, so we finished modeling everything. We're totally done in Blender. So next thing we want to do is that we want to build our battle rifle tactical tag folder. So we're going to go to H3EK directory. Now in tags, this is where we're going to build our folder. You may be thinking, why are we doing it here and not in objects, weapons, rifle? The reason why is because when we import our JMS files, it's going to dump the tags directly in the tags folder. It's not going to go through objects, weapons, rifle. Another thing to point out is that if you import your stuff, all of your JMS files, without setting up a battle rifle tac folder. So I'll just set it up right now, battle rifle tac. If you don't set this folder up already, then it's going to create this folder. But you want to set it up first. The reason why is because when you import the JMS file, it's going to look for this battle rifle tac folder in the tags folder, and it's going to look to see what shaders you have in here. And if there's no shaders, then you won't be able to apply any of the textures, except maybe one texture to your model. We don't want that. So I'm going to just close out of battle rifle tac edit right now, and I'm going to open the objects folder in a new window. Go to weapons, rifle, battle rifle. So a couple things we want to do here is that we basically want to copy everything we need. Everything that's going to be shared between battle rifle and battle rifle tac from the battle rifle tac folder. So we want the bitmaps. So I'm going to copy, paste bitmaps. We don't need cinematics. We'll probably need damage effects. We don't need FP battle rifle. We probably need FX. We definitely need projectiles. And we definitely need shaders. So copy all of that over. So this shaders folder is what I was talking about. This folder right here is incredibly important to have. You could probably go without the rest of these folders for now, but you absolutely need this shaders folder, because when we import the JMS files, it is going to look for this shaders folder. And if it's not there, then your render model is going to be broken. Okay, so next we need, we don't need scenery. To be honest, I don't know what the scenery tag is. That will be, when I figure that out, we'll do battle rifle scenery. We'll cover scenery tags when I do my full from scratch weapon tutorial video, when I figure out the whole process for that. But pretty much all we need here is, well, no, let's not worry about this stuff right now. If we need the physics model, we'll get the physics model later. Okay, so if you go into the shaders folder, we can actually get rid of battle rifle lens, because if you remember, we deleted the battle rifle lens material slot from Blender, so we can get rid of that. We can also get rid of battle rifle rubber PBR and battle rifle rubber tint map. Both of those we'll want to get rid of, because we're not using the weapon skin stuff. The PBR shaders are for weapon skins. So you should be left with battle rifle metal, battle rifle rubber 1s and 10s. Next, we want to get the shaders and the bitmaps for the SMG add-on. So we'll get, go back to bitmaps. Oh, by the way, in bitmaps, we can also get rid of battle rifle Covenant Diffuse, Covenant Illume, Covenant Spec, Covenant Z-Bump, and then the PBRs as well. So we can get rid of those. Okay, we want to copy these SMG add-ons. We want to copy them and paste them into our battle rifle tack. And then we want to take the shaders as well. We want to copy and paste them into our battle rifle tack shader. Actually, we don't need the metal, SMG metal and rubber. We don't need those. We just need the SMG add-on. Basically, if you have, we need to make sure that there is a .shader file for every material that we had in Blender. Now, you'll remember that we had 2 battle rifle metal materials. We only need 1 battle rifle metal shader to cover both of those materials. Okay, so now we should be able to import. So we can get rid of this shaders, SMG silent shaders stuff. Let's go back to E3 EK. And let's get it ready to import. So we'll want to go to data, and we want to create another file here called battle rifle tack. So when we use tool to compile our JMSs into render models and collision models, tool will look for the battle rifle tack folder in the data folder. So now we'll go here and we'll create a collision folder and a render folder. So we'll take the when we named battle rifle tack collision, it gave a collision thing, so we can actually rename this. We can get rid of that extra collision there in the name. Okay, so we want to copy our battle rifle tack collision.jms into the collisions folder, and then we want to do our battle rifle tack render.jms. We want to copy that into the render folder. We're going to be using a command called bulk import model folder, and what that will do is that tool will go and it will look for this battle rifle tack folder, and then it will look for a collision folder, a render folder, and then a physics folder. It will probably freak out when we don't give it a physics folder. We'll see what happens. I think it'll be fine. I think it'll just skip making a physics model, and it'll just do a collision model and render model. If it does freak out and it just stops, we can just make like a fake, you know, JMS file with a fake physics folder, but this should be all we need. So we have, I think we do have everything we absolutely need here. So it's time to run tool. So you'll want to be in H3 EK, do command, tool, bulk import model folder. That is the command we're using. Import model folder. And we just want to specify the folder that we're importing. The folder that's in data. So that's going to be quotation mark battle underscore rifle underscore tack, another quotation mark, hit enter, cross our fingers. Okay, that looks like it did everything correctly. I said before that it'll freak out that we have 3 different muzzle flash nodes. You'll see here warning note, 3 markers named, and then 2 markers named muzzle flash. That's okay, that didn't seem to have any negative effect. when I was doing this before. It wrote out the collision model correctly, and it did not find a physics model. That's okay. We're just going to use the battle rifle physics model. And then it created a model tag and added references to the render and collision model. So that looks like it did everything correctly. It also found our shaders. If you did not have a shaders folder with the correct shaders in your tag's battle rifle tag, it will spit out a bunch of errors saying that it cannot find those shaders anywhere. So that's why it's very important that you have those. And we're done with tool again, so we can close tool, and you can see that it created a collision model, a model, and a render model. So this is exactly what we want. It did everything successfully. Okay, so now what we can do is that we can cut our battle rifle tag folder and we can put it in our objects, weapons, rifle folder exactly where it should be. Now let's open the battle rifle tag folder in a new window. And let's open up our battle rifle tag folder. So now, next thing we want to do is let's copy the battle rifle model animation graph and the physics model, as well as weapon over. Let's copy those and paste them here. As you probably guessed, model animation graph is the file that contains all the animations. The physics model, of course, is the physics model, and the weapon is the actual thing you pick up in the game and you shoot. And I'm going to rename all of these, rename this to tac. Just basically add tac, underscore tac after all of these rifles. And yeah, our tag folder is complete. There is one thing we should do though. If you want to make the numbers red, we do need to compile a new bitmap. So let's do that though after. Actually, no, let's do it now. So we can close out of battle rifle here, the battle rifle folder. And actually, let's close out of that too. Let's go back to our tag edit folder. And you want to open up your image editing software. I recommend using paint.net. It's what I use. So let's select all of these number plates, 0 through 9, and let's drag them over into paint.net. And we'll want to open each image separately. Okay, so to make these red, it's very simple. All you got to do is go to Adjustments, Hue/Saturation, and just take this and just move it either all the way to the left or to the right. In fact, you can make this purple, you can make this green. I'm going to make it red though. Hit OK, and then File, Save. Hit OK again. And you're going to want to do that for each one of these. Otherwise, you might have just a red 2. So you can close out of that and just do that process over and over again for all of these. Okay, save. Okay, that's all done. You can close out of paint.net, and now we have red number plates. So now we will want to create a bitmap tag that contains all of these images. So I want to show you something first before we do that. I'm going to open up the Gorilla tag editor. You don't need to worry about this step, just check this out. First of all, we go to our objects and weapons, rifle. First of all, you'll see battle rifle tac. It's there, so cool. But let's go to battle rifle bitmaps and let's look at numbers plate bitmap. So here's that bitmap tag all laid out. If we go to show bitmaps, you'll see here that we can select bitmap 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that will have the corresponding number. So what we want to do is that we want to create a bitmap tag that has 9 textures in it. And we're going to be using a command called import bitmap folder as single tag. So that's how we will be doing that. Just wanted to show you that that's how this is all set up. So I'm just going to close out of this and retract all of these files, close out of Gorilla, and let's go back. Open up h3ek directory, and we want to run tool. Now, when you import anything, when you compile something into a tag, more likely than not, that tool command is going to look in the data folder. By the way, we can delete battle rifle tac in the data folder. We're totally done with it. Let's create a new folder called numbers plate red. Open that up, and let's drag all of these into that folder. Let's copy them. Just to be safe, let's copy them over. So copy, paste. Okay, now we can get close out of battle rifle tac edit. Now what we want to do, actually let's keep it in data. We're going to do tool, import bitmap folder as single tag, and we want to specify that folder, so it's going to be numbers plate red. Hit enter. 10 bitmaps imported as interface bitmap. Unfortunately, with this command, you can't do like 2D bitmaps or 3D. However, it might be that tags that have multiple textures in them are only meant to be interface bitmaps anyway. But we're done there. This is actually the last time we'll need to use tool, so we can close out of tool. And we can delete numbers plate red from the data folder. We're done with it. And in tags, there's our number plate red bitmap. Let's cut this, go back to objects, weapons, rifle, battle rifle tac, bitmaps, and let's paste that here. Cool. You can delete numbers plate bitmap right here, but I'm going to keep it until we switch to numbers plate red, just so Gorilla might freak out that this file isn't here, you know. So we'll delete numbers plate.bitmap afterwards. Okay, so we have everything. All we need left to do is just edit the tags. So let's open up Gorilla, go to objects, weapons, rifle, battle rifle tac, Now let's kind of go, let's do this from top to bottom. So we'll edit the battle rifle tack weapon first. The stuff you're gonna want to change here is, of course, the model. This right here, above early mover ob, there's going to be a field model. You want to hit the button right here with the 3 dots, and you want to go to your battle rifle tack tag folder and select battle rifle tack.model. Open that up. Next, let's see. Let's change this as well. Under attachments type, let's change this to be located in our battle rifle tack folder as well. So that's going to be fx firing.light. Okay. Let's go ahead and save this, but let's keep moving on. Let's keep adjusting stuff here. The next thing we want to change, I believe, is going to be first person. Now, there's one for Master Chief, and there's one for the Arbiter. Dervish is Arbiter. But Master Chief also applies to Spartans, and Dervish applies to all elites as well. So multiplayer elites and multiplayer Spartans. Let's just do Master Chief. First person model, we absolutely do want to change that to go back to our battle rifle tack folder. We want to change that to battle rifle tack.render model. And first person animations, you can keep it as is, but again, I'm going to keep everything local. So battle oh, wait a minute. Actually, you don't want to change that, because that is in an entirely different folder. So don't change first person animations. You don't want to change HUD interface. This will be for a different tutorial for another day. So we have that. We can save. We can also change this for Dervish. So let's go ahead and change that as well for Dervish. Battle rifle tack render model. Save. So we pretty much have everything done here in the weapon tag. Except you probably, let's change the projectile to also be local to our battle rifle tack. So projectiles, battle rifle bullet. Not necessary, but it keeps stuff where, you know, keep stuff close together. Probably want to change all of this to, yeah. Okay, you don't have to change firing damage, so keep that as is. And we're pretty much, yeah, we're done with the weapon tag. So you can save this as is. So save. Let's see if there's anything we might want to change just for fun. We can change the shots per fire. We can change it from a 3-round burst to like pretty much anything, but I'm going to change it to like a 1 round so it acts more like the DMR from Halo Reach. So I'll save that. Okay, we're done with the weapon tag. We can close out of it. Next, we absolutely do want to mess with the model tag. This is a very important step. So we're going to change all of these fields. You'll see here that this stuff is in red. If any field is in red, I don't know why exactly it does this, but if a field has red text, whatever is in that field is not going to be applied correctly. So let's hit the dots here, the button dots, and we want to select Battle Rifle TAC Render Model, and then the text should be black. It's for whatever reason it does that, even though it's the exact same directory, the same exact path that's in it. It just wants us to do that for whatever reason. So collision model. Animation is going to be Battle Rifle TAC model animation graph. And then physics model is going to be the Battle Rifle TAC physics model. And this is all finished. So we can save that, close out of it. The last thing we need to edit on this level is the render model. We want to make sure, in fact, we may not even need to mess with this. We just need to make sure that the materials are in place correctly. So that's going to be under this materials group right here. We can expand that. Look at that, we do actually need to change this stuff. So again, this field is red, so this is where we're going to take the safety off. We need to go to Edit, Expert Mode, and that's going to let us select our shaders. So we want to select Battle Rifle Metal. We need to do this for all 5 of our materials. So Battle Rifle Rubber. Ones. Tens. And SMG add-on. Okay, now we want to save this. So when you compiled your JMS file into a render model, if you didn't have those shaders in that tags folder, as I specified before, then these material slots will just not carry over and you'll have just one material slot. So that's just kind of a very strange quirk, is that even if you have material slots in Blender, if you don't have shaders that go along specifically with those material slots, then the material slots are not going to carry over. So that's why it's important that you have those shader tags where we had them before, even though we still have to reapply them here in the tag. So we're done with render model, close out of that. Now the only thing left we have to do is edit that shader, the 1s and 10s shader, to make it so that it's using numbers plate red instead of just regular numbers plate. So let's go to 1s shader. And let's change self illum map to, from numbers plate, let's change it to, we need to go back to our Battle Rifle tags folder shaders. I mean, sorry, not shaders, bitmaps. Let's change it to numbers plate red. Open that up. And we can also change the self illum color to red as well. However, I didn't find that that made too much of an impact. Let's save that. We can close out of that tag. Let's open up 10 shader. And let's do the same thing So we'll change number plate to number plate red, and change that self-illum color to red as well, and then save. So we're done. The weapon's finished. One other thing I'm going to do, just for fun, open up the battle rifle metal shader, and under self-illumination, I'm going to just change this color to, I don't know, green, just for fun. So on the battle rifle, you have those red lights on the side, and this red field is what gives those lights its red color, so now those lights will be green. I'll file and I'll save that. We're done in Gorilla, so all that is left to do is actually import our custom weapon into Sapien. So we'll open Sapien now. Play Sapien World Editor. And I'm going to just do it on Zanzibar. Open that up, give it some time to load. Okay, we're in Sapien. Let's make this window smaller so we can see the rest of it. Now, we need to add in our weapons, so we need to expand the scenario folder, objects, items, and here's weapons. You'll select weapons, and we need to do edit types. And now here's all of the weapon tags that are included in the map. We want to add our weapon tag to the map, so we'll do add, rifle, battle rifle tac, and battle rifle tac weapon, and then hit add tags, give it a second, and then hit make sure that it's now on the bottom of the list, battle rifle tac, do done. Okay. And now with the weapons folder still selected, you just right click. And now we have this weapon node selected. We want to change the type from none to battle rifle tac. And as you can see, there's our custom model. So let's play it. I'm going to expand the game window so we can see better. And look at that, there it is. Picked up battle rifle, it says. That would be another tutorial, would be to show how to change that text to say, instead of picked up battle rifle, have it say picked up tactical battle rifle. But again, that's another tutorial. Also on the top right, on the weapon icon for the battle rifle, that would also be a different tutorial. Where we could change that icon to better resemble our tactical battle rifle. But yeah, it works. We can shoot it. Oh, by the way, remember, we changed the fire burst from 3 to 1, so it should just shoot 1 round now. And as a matter of fact, it does. And you can see the number plates work. Can reload. You can see we have green lights. We can still zoom in, melee, throw grenades. The battle rifle works. It just works. So there, I really hope that this was helpful. I hope that you had success bringing in your own custom model. Again, later when I figure out how to do animations, I will do a tutorial on how, from start to finish, creating an entirely custom weapon. Animations and everything. Also probably need to wait for the physics importer and exporter for the Blender asset toolset to get updated to where it works, but when all of that's ready, I will be making a tutorial on that, so look forward. And thanks for watching. Hope you had fun. Hope you had success. and I'll see you in another tutorial.